Hey everyone, my name is Demon Knight. I'm going to be doing something a little different today. Normally I would do a tier list with someone else, but I'm going to just go back a little bit. I know I did a ranking on these before, but I feel like I should give a brief explanation on my feelings behind all this. So today, I'm going to do a tier list of all the Wizard101 worlds out there. And frankly, there's one problem. As you see right here, Grizzleheim itself doesn't show winter tusks. However, I'm gonna make it so it's fair for both sides. So it's gonna be more of a dual ranking versus a separate ranking. Just that particular rule. Also, right here, I know you can't see it, but there is a 4 dungeons ranking as well. And then I believe the drains we'll get to later. So without further said, let's begin with this with Wizard City, the classic, the best intro to the game. You see Bartleby in Ravenwood. You have Unicorn Way, and the first boss is Rattlebones. Like, what more do you want me to say? It's classic. However, my only thing I don't like, and I'll admit this, is the 3 separate paths where 2 of them are behind paid walls and then Triton Avenue. I'm gonna be real. The first world should be free, and then we get the Dark Caves, and then Colossus Boulevard, and then Nightside with that dungeon. That supposedly 1 hour long dungeon, which if you're just that smart and you're level 16, you have, depending on your school, it shouldn't be that hard. But that's just me because I played over so many years of it. There also adds so many other things to it, including the drains. But like I said, we'll get to that when we get to that ranking since it's separate. As for the world itself, it's not bad, but it's also not good. Because the 3 areas are behind painted walls, I'm going to drop this down to the B tier. Specifically because of that. I feel like if you made the first world free, definitely be like an A tier, maybe an S. Now, second world, Krakatopia. Now, I said this before, this one was kind of mid. It didn't really stand out as much. Yeah, it's a pyramid, it's an Egypt type of world thing. But it really felt, I'm not like, it felt like more of a, hey, get through this, I don't care type of thing. I mean, I see a lot of people love this world, and I'm gonna say this right here, right now. I know I'm gonna shit on so many worlds that people don't like, or someone's gonna say, "Oh, you like this world? It should be up higher. This is where it should be at." This is my personal ranking. Please do not go in my fucking comments and saying, "Oh, just because you think this, you're just wrong." Just, bro, let me just do my rankings, all right? This is my rankings. This is how I saw it in the last 7 times. Actually, technically 10 because I deleted 3 characters. 10 times doing all these worlds. I get it. Don't tell me how I see. Don't tell me. Just don't. Okay. Anyways, so when I played Krakatopia, it felt okay. I feel like towards the end, it kind of felt boring. It didn't, like in the beginning it felt fine. When we get to the middle and end, it kind of felt like a drop down. Like it felt boring. I didn't really get inspiration of what I was doing. But then I think the 4 dungeons brought it back. But that's its own thing. So Krakatopia itself, probably C tier, honestly. It was a good world. It just didn't have anything experienced or fun in. Besides the balance school, let's be honest. But once again, behind a paywall. So sorry, balance people. Anyways, Marleybone. Oh, hell yeah, Marleybone. Oh, this world. Okay, hear me out, guys. I am a huge fan of London and like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Sherlock Holmes type stuff. This is the world for that. The only thing that's gonna bring me down on this is a lot, and I mean a lot of back and forth. And I forgot to mention that there is going to be a lot of back and forth within worlds, and that's going to drop me down a bit, depending. But the fact that you have to go back to the dungeon 3 times, and I'm saying Ironworks, just to complete some quests for the ball, the policeman ball, 3 times, that's going to give me a little drop on this. However, Big Ben, the final dungeon, that's freaking cool. I'm gonna have to say, yeah, it's a little tedious because you have to do all the fighting, But that's like an epic final battle for Marleybone. That is so cool. Plus, let's not forget, technically, since the four dungeons aren't, well, it's kind of related, but it's not. Uh, the story with Doctor Jekyll or Doctor Jekyll and Mister Hyde story, and I forgot what it's called in that area where you're level 40. Yes, I like it. Also, there is one dungeon I have to mention that no one ever does. It's Barkingham Park, whatever it's called. The one that's right behind Ironworks. No one ever does because it's so freaking hard. Um, don't do it. It's not worth paying 1,200 crowns for it. Oh, another thing that also. Oh, I'm gonna also mention this too. The reason I'm gonna also mention how much crowns are for areas. The both West and Eastern being separate payments instead of being just combined together. That's another drop as well. So this is a good world, and one area was way too short. Not even mentioned at all. Newgate Prison. I love this world. There's just so many bad things too. I have to be real. B tier, high B tier, just because of those things. This is a good world. Don't get me wrong. Had they just made those two east and western side for those areas, because you're not going to go back there. Let's be honest. Both both a payment instead of separating them. That would have been easy A tier. All right, no questions asked. Easy S tier. Now, hear me out. Mushu has so doesn't really have a lot of back and forth in those quests. It is all in one area. The areas are easy. They are not too difficult, and the storyline's amazing. You're trying to recover. You're trying to save the emperor. No questions asked. That Mushu was one of their best creations. I enjoy it every time I go back over here. Like, oh, Mushu. Oh, can we not forget the Cave of Solitude area? Perfect. Also, when the first time those new spells came out with the wooden keys and gold keys, I farmed for the catch of the day on my storm. I was a little upset, I'll admit, farming those keys, but at the same time, I enjoyed this world so much. No questions asked. Easy S tier. No questions at all. Good world. Unfortunately, though, this is probably like one of the few worlds we're gonna get that's so good. Because next up is Dragonspire. Hear me out. Perfect final battle. Perfect final world for Arc 1. Which I should mention. I'm going to separate each. All these are separated by arcs, so therefore we're going to keep it plain and simple, as is. Perfect final battle for Arc 1. You're going through everything to prepare to fight Malistaire. You're trying to weaken him. You're trying to get everything ready. You are hatching a Drake to get to where he is now, to stop him from awakening a Fire Titan to resurrect his wife, because he's grieving over that. You are absolutely going at your fullest. You are absolutely going beyond wonders for this fight. This is scary. Like, not okay, let me phrase that. It's not scary. But everything you're prepping up for, like, dude, you're just going up to the castle. This world, without a doubt, is amazing. However, going back to the Drake hatchery twice kind of is annoying. But however, it's not punishing because the XP and everything they do over there is for a good reason. So, plus the dungeons aren't that bad if if you know what you're doing. The only thing that could be annoying is when they pull you into battle, which can be annoying if you're a new player. So, try to be patient more like unlike me who goes through everything because I don't get pulled anymore. Barely get pulled. Perfect final battle, perfect world in my opinion. Not a lot to say about this. I mean, I feel like the quests aren't as repetitive as ever. It's pretty balanced, honestly. And plus, technically, the final world with having all 7-pip spells, there's nothing to say. S tier. Now, combining these two worlds together is going to be sad for me. Because if I could, I would separate the two. But since there's not really a Winter Tusk tier, we'll just pretend Winter Tusk goes in A. Okay, we'll just go with that. A tier. The only reason why I say Winter Tusk A, if you're going in at level 40, you're kind of screwed. But if we're doing it regularly where you're level 50, like you should be doing, the world's actually fun. There is not a lot to say about it because it's level 50. You learn criticals by then. And yeah, A tier. Let's just pretend we'll pretend Winter Tusk is right there. Hey editor, just put the word Winter Tusk right there at A tier. And yeah, if we have to move it, please move it to the side. If we get any more A tiers, sure, whatever. Anyways, and the only thing that's dropping it down from an S tier, and here's why. The cheats in those fights sometimes, like the one where it does the Efreet. I forgot which boss that is. The wooded guy. The wooded guy. Because if you don't do anything right, you get Efreet. The cheats in that world is kind of repetitive, in my opinion. Not impossible. Oh, the Cormac fight, the solo fight, very annoying. I will say that's the only thing I'll drop down to A. Is that solo fight. The unnecessary solo fight is why I'm dropping it down to A. Other than that, yeah, no, it's a great world. Anyways, Grizzleheim itself goes to detail. There are no questions. You don't get a lot of XP. The quests are boring as hell. It takes forever to do them. And technically, you gotta go to 20, 25, 30, then 40 to beat these areas. So you have to beat this at level 40. Very little XP grinding. Goes to show how well this was thought out. Like, I'm sorry. It's cool to see Norse mythology in this game, but Grizzleheim did not live up to its expectations. Okay, well, let me say this. The first area was fine with XP. Because it gave out a lot of 1200 XPs at level 20. Everything else was just 40 or 50, or 550. At level 25 and above. That's nothing. So, yeah, sorry about that. Sorry for all those Grizzleheim lovers out there, but this is the only reason. Well, those are the reasons. Anyway, Wisteria. Good grinding area. Kind of boring for 3 areas. Easy C tier. It's mid. The tournament was kind of eh. But the quests. Oh my god, the quests. Can we also talk about the defeat and collect from those green leaves? Yeah, me too. I hate them. Alright. Since we got Arc 1 completely done, I know we missed one technically, and that's Aquila, but that's more Arc 2 than Arc 1, so I put it there. Let's talk about Arc 2. And let's start with Celestia. Oh boy, Celestia. Get ready for those haters coming along, because Arc 2 is going to be ups and downs. Celestia was great in the beginning, no doubt about it. But towards the end, it was repetitive and boring, and defeat and collects were stupid. Because half the time it doesn't collect. I don't mean just like 1 or 2 battles, I mean like 6 battles in, and you still didn't collect it. That's repetitive and stupid. So, I'm sorry. Celestia goes in C tier, especially with Crustacean Empire. Now, the final battle isn't hard if you know what you're doing. That being get Shatter, and literally just set up and just do a one-shot kill. At everyone at once. That's literally it. And then the second fight, it's not that hard, just use charms. And then what I did, because it just kept they kept using smokescreen on me, just set up. And then just hopefully you hit. It's not that hard. Anyways, Zafaria. Boring in the beginning, very good at the end. So this is the opposite of Celestia. For some reason. Like, I'm sorry, but Savannah and then Zamunda's boring as heck. I couldn't stand those areas. Those were stupid. They were boring. I was bored half to death on that world until we got to Stone Town. Stone Town brought it back up, and I was like, "Yep, I'm in. Let's go." Pushing it through. Made it to the end. It was interesting. I even love Mirror Lake. Mirror Lake's also a great place for grinding as well. It's not Celestia World C tier, but it is not great because of the beginning. So I'm gonna say B tier on this, only because specifically. And here's why. They also brought back a lot of back and forth in this world. So you didn't see it a lot in Mushu, Dragonspire, and... Well, so Dragonspire you kind of did, but as for main quest, Celestia, you didn't have that as much. But Zafaria brought it back a lot. And I mean a lot. You gotta jump from area to area to area to collect stuff. But if we're talking about main quests only, it's alright. But no, I'm talking about everything. Including, also I should mention about collecting stuff as well, such as books or the hidden items for Zeke. Most of these are equivalent to what the ranks are. This is easy. These all are pretty easy to get, except for this one. The Yardbirds are kind of annoying since it's behind main quest stuff. Um, other than that, yeah. But Zafaria isn't a bad world, like I said. Anything B or above is great. It's C and below is kind of eh, or why. Anyways, now being biased aside with Avalon, I love this world because Camelot. I'm a huge Camelot person and King Arthur shit. This world is amazing. Yeah, there's also a lot of cheats. Yes, and we get it. But there is so many recognizable boss fights in this one. Young Morganth, Pendragon, the black and white dragons. Oh, did we forget about Jabberwock? The biggest struggle ever. And he's still not nerfed, I don't believe. I'm not sure if he was nerfed. I mean, he was easy. He was still easy. Just spam fire shields. That's literally it. Fire shields set up, fire shields set up. The easiest way to win. Did I struggle with it? Absolutely. But I still made it through. 7 times. Anyways, this one, and because I'm biased, S tier. Very good story too. Also, that's also introduced spears to us, which is amazing for piercing. So another good thing about that too. And then also, can we also just omit the mass prisms as well? Those were very helpful as well. And the main story and side quests didn't feel boring at all. Not like Sympharia, where it was just like the beginning was boring, but then the end was good. Everything about Avalon, in my opinion, perfect. Yeah, it was slow, but it was perfect. I love doing the back and forth stuff because it felt like you're a knight doing these quests to save the people around, bringing back the round table. Just it I can't explain so much about this world. It's amazing. I love it. But now we go to the downhill, and I mean Azteca. No question, everyone in the community can agree. No person should deny this. Azteca, F tier. Quests were boring. So many back and forth. And I don't mean just like Avalon back and forth. I don't mean Zafaria back and forth. I don't mean Krakatopia or Marleybone back and forth. I mean so much back and forth that it feels like a chore going that world. Oh, and can we just admit that bosses are so much health at level 80 to 90? Why? Why? Why are we struggling with these fights at level 90? The health is way too high. We are not like fully geared up for this world because there's not a place to grind yet. It felt repetitive. It felt. Oh. Can we just also talk about some of the cheats? Some of the bosses are stupid because their AI is so notorious to pick a single spell that will one-shot kill you if you're not ready for them. This world is so bad. Like, I'm so glad I'm never going back to this world again. When I got off my myth and I said, thank God I'm not going back to this world again, I meant every single moment of it. I fucking hate this world. And everyone else in the community who I've met, who I've talked to about this, hates it as well. I can't meet. I've never met a single person that enjoyed that world. And I'm serious when I say no. Very much no. Not a single chance. No mercy for that world. Now, I know I shit so much on this world, but they did bring out some good things too. Sharpened Blade, Potent Trap, sure. But that also requires to defeat a solo boss. Very high, by the way. With 2 extra minions that also can do Fire Dragon on you immediately. Yeah. Not worth it. I mean, it is worth it. Let me rephrase that. That is worth it. Just not fun to get them. Now, Chrysalis. Now, there's a lot of people who are going to argue that Chrysalis is bad or good. That's just depending on them. So I'm going to be honest and 100% honest with this. It was long, the longest world out there, 2 parts obviously. It was very, very annoying. If you guys know, you know, Gravelly the Hunter. Eh, you will did not, and I mean you will did not catch a break with this world. There was no way out of some things. You had to work with your team unless you are very lucky, and I mean you had to be lucky to get a perfect setup to defeat them solo. I will tell you, and I'll admit this because I'm an experienced player. And when I say I struggled on Gravelly the Hunter round one, not round two, round one, so badly because I had to wait until first run it was just because I didn't have good gear, but after Castle Darkmoor came out, I had to wait till I was a level 100 for that. It was it was oh my god, it was so bad. It was so horrible. And there were so many long dungeons in that world. So many. Ugh, the chef. I forgot what he was called in the fortress area. He was hard, annoying, very very annoying. And then Ghost Dog was actually a pretty cool boss, but for a final boss in part one, like okay, he wasn't really special in any way, shape, or form. But we get to part two, and part two was downgrade bad. Like I'm not saying that to be an asshole, but holy shit, everything that happened was slow. It was slow. The only thing good out of this, and I forgot to mention in part one, Shadow Pips. Shadow Pips were cool. When you turn into those monsters, well, the Shadow forms, and you get a boost on something, but then you get a decrease, you still get something good out of it, depending on what class you are. Those were good. It was slow in part two. Very, very slow. I spent 3 to 4 hours completing the first area. And I mean complete, 100% complete. I also mean side quests too. Doing the beach area, Crescent Beach, before moving on to the second area. Like, why was there so many side quests there? And then Conda Desert, kind of mid. And then the Hive, that's that was basically hell. That was meant to be hell. So many bosses though. I am having PTSD basically from that. And then the final boss in Shadow Palace. Um, she turns to a giant spider, and she summons 4 Shadows versions of herself. Wow, kind of a disappointment. It wasn't the same vibe as Malister's final battle. I know what they were trying to do, but kind of mid. Also, another thing they did, they changed some of the gear, like the better gear for quote unquote better ones. And yeah, there's no point in really grinding for her stuff as much as you would for, Castle Darkmoor stuff, basically. So, with that being said, and with everything being ups and downs, I have to give credit though. They did their best to make a world like a fucking war zone. And it came out pretty well. I have to be honest. This deserves an A tier. Specifically because yeah, it's not what people liked. It was still pretty good for a challenge. And I won't deny that. I won't deny that they didn't did the they just they I'm trying to find the words, excuse me. They did their best and they gave us a challenge in the end. A pretty decent challenge. Yeah, was it long? Absolutely. But in the end, it was a worthwhile fight. Now, before we go to Arc 3, we have to step back a few worlds, and we gotta go back to Aquila. Aquila starts at level 30, yes, where you fight Zeus. And then it's Poseidon at 70 and Hades at 90. Now, what do I feel about a world that only has 3 dungeons in it, technically? Well, not bad. Not bad at all. Was it annoying? If you play Poseidon, absolutely. I hated Poseidon's dungeon a lot. I didn't mind Zeus and Hades as much, but it was also tedious and annoying and very punishing if you don't know what you're doing. But I I don't have anything bad about it. It's a good grinding place as well if you really wanted to. Like Gladiator, Ring, and then I think it was Chronos Anthem. Yeah. So B tier. Oh right, I forgot to mention too. In Arc 2, there was technically another area, Tower Elephant. That's also why it's in C tier. You are very lucky you're not in D tier because I would drop you down for that. But because you had some decent things in there, I'll give you C. So the 4 dungeons, I'm gonna put this in B because I'm gonna be honest. The two that I did not like, that being most of the things in Croctopia, which is lower zigzag and upper zigzag, kind of boring. The I forgot what the other one was. That's when you're with a monk and you had to go save the Lord Barker dude, the expedition dude. That was horrible. Like, if you're by yourself, good fucking luck. I had to use a guide to figure out the puzzle before fighting that hidden that boss if you wanted to. But like I said though, it's not bad. And I just remembered too. I'm sorry. I forgot to mention the place of Marleybone was the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So yeah, and that's the third one. And then Castle Darkmoor. Castle Darkmoor obviously gets to be higher up because it's a good grind. Plus all the good spells until you get fire from above. Sorry for the fire people, by the way. But Glowbug, Mystic Colossus, Hear Me Out, Abominable Weaver were the best ones. Now, I would have said the Caterpillar was good until they made it heal over time and not an absorb, which is dumb. Very dumb. Oh, and Lulu. Lulu, golden. Golden. And then Balance People, sorry for you too, because that one's kind of mid. But yeah. B tier because Castle Darkmoor heavy carries the rest of them. No doubt Castle Darkmoor carries them. Now, this is where we get to Arc 3. And everything from here on out, it's going to be very hard. Very, very hard. And as you can see, not a lot of worlds are the greatest because there's more B than anything else. But yeah. So, Polaris. Hear me out. Smallest world, not a lot of main quests or side quests, and technically the final area to give you XP for side quests. So this is a note to remember. Everything mentioned about side quests at this point will be gone from Mirage here on out. Polaris, interesting world. Ambrose's first world, like where he was originally from. The story about Rasputin, interesting, because it turns out to be the rat. And it's just an Baba Yaga. But basically, you're just trying to stop Rasputin or the rat from making this titan that basically can destroy worlds. So, pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Most of the quest is straightforward. Not a lot of back and forth side quests. There is some stuff you have to wait for to unlock in areas. Not Like I said, not really a lot to worry about in Polaris. But I didn't enjoy it as much. I'll be real. I feel like it, and I love Ivan. I loved Ivan and Mallory as a team during that time. But Ivan was a great companion. The very first companion, mind you, in Arc 3. Because I was about to say first companion overall, but I forgot Divum. But, which I've also forgot to mention Chrysalis. They also introduced companions. So Divum, Zarazona, or the sister Mantis, the mage girl. There was also some other ones too, but and the blind dude, and an old cob, which reveals to be Grandfire Spider. Hence why we're also in Arc 3 because Bartleby has a fucking cold, and we're trying to figure out how to cure it. And the only way to cure it, get Ivan to help out with the resistance and then get Baba Yaga to help out. And that's when we get to Arcanum, which we'll talk about Arcanum in a second. But back to the story, Polaris, kind of okay. Not the worst, but it's not the greatest. It is B tier, honestly. It's, I know, hey, people who love Polaris, remember, my opinion. I'm also going to put Arcanum there because there's not really much you do in Arcanum other than having a prestige school that can give you some amazing spells and everything. But other than that, it's just Arcanum. Like, that's it. All right. Now, Mirage. Worst companions ever, besides Ozzy. That genie girl, E-Star, the most annoying thing ever. Now, bosses, not too shabby. Quests, very repetitive, very boring, and you're doing basically all this for nothing. Because the second child you have to fight is Overlord Zurus, who reveals to be Scorpion. And yeah, then we find out Grandfather Spider is fucking with time because he has the Eye of History. So he's kind of like, hey, you want to stop me? Let's play a little game. And he brings back the three quote unquote worst minions, like from the past. Rattlebones, which is now Shadowbones. Jabberwock, which is Shadowwock, and then Bort from Krakatopia Arena. Who the fuck is Bort? Like, who the fuck cares about Bort? You could have brought back so many evil characters that we could have remembered. The Jade Oni, Moriarty, someone important. Like Shadowbones and Jabberwock and Shadowwalk were reasonable characters to bring back. But Bort? Who the fuck cares about Bort? And then you gotta fight Grandfather Spider. Which, very hard boss if you don't know what you're doing. But overall, this world, kinda boring. Not really interested in this world. I'm gonna have to drop it down to D tier. Was it worse than Celestia? Yeah, kind of. Because overall, the worlds weren't, like, fabulous. I kind of felt more or less it was just not a world. Just another pointless world in my opinion. Now lastly we get to Imperia, which basically brings in Star Trek with other stuff too. But we're not going to talk about Star Trek. Let's just gonna say the point. We gotta save Mallory from Grandfather Spider and Cabals. And while we're at it, we're working with the Arcanums to try and save her. And also, we found out Grandmother Raven's trying to destroy the realms and just restart history, basically, by destroying everything, including Spider. So yeah, between light and dark, you gotta be in the middle. So, Imperia brought a lot of good things about this world, which is insane to say because Imperia is, like, the final world. And can we also admit, turning to the Paradox dude at the end, holy crap, that was like the best thing ever. After he just defeated the toughest boss out there. Which at the time was really hard if you played the, before the challenge mode shit. So I want to say this was out in 2018, 2019. Yeah. That was hard. Very difficult. Very, very tedious. I hated it. But it was still worthwhile because all that, in the end, you beat up the Storm Titan. And you beat the living shit out of him. Fun. So, here's the thing about this. Side quests were very, very annoying. And I know I wasn't going to mention this, but, I've done them. I've 100%ed them, so I'm going to mention it. Main quests, though, were not too bad. It was straightforward. It was only 70 for each part, I believe, which isn't that bad. So 140. Not really a lot of. There was a lot of jumping back and forth at main quest, but that's because you got to try to capture the bat twice, and he's worked with you twice. So he's like your ally and like your friend to me, basically. And yeah, and he's apparently the essence of darkness, and Mallory's the essence of light to bring me the paradox. So yeah, that's and then yeah, we basically, and then Grandfather Spider and Grandmother Raven they fell in love again. Cliche ending, but hey, it works out, I guess. Also, this is the very last world that the lady whose voice is Grandmother Raven was able to talk because afterwards she passed away. Rest in peace to her. I forgot her voice actor's name, so I rather put that on there. Say rest in peace. Give best wish. Not best wishes. Wow, excuse me. She was amazing. Anyways, because of respect, A tier. That's also a good world too. Let's just talk about that. Con. Anyways, the drains. B tier. B tier. Because most of the boss fights are shit. Like, I don't mean shit as in bad. They're fucking tedious, annoying, fucking bullshit, dumb. They have the best gear too for level 130. But holy shit. That was difficult. And I hated it. I promise you, I recently just did that Avalon boss fight with the mage thing. I forgot what it's called. And I hated it. I reminded myself why I hated that so much. Anyways, Arc 4. The most recent arc that came out. Caramel. Fun. Short. You paid money to have an area that you'll go in once, and that's it. I just want to mention you guys that. Anyways, you're basically accused of sending the old one to another world, bringing up the cavities, and the cabal's after your ass again. It's after you try making peace. Story was pretty good, but they make you use the camera so fucking much, which was an invention made out, I think, the summer of that year. The quests were that bad. Side quests were annoying, but other than that, main quests were pretty smooth. You have the musicology professor following you on your journey. You revealed that Grand Nana, uses the I forgot what it was. Oh, the gobbler's sweats to make these nasty poisonous candies. Yeah, you just find out she's a monster. But before you can defeat her, you go into the cavity, right? The other world, I guess, and you fight this aberrant version of you. And yeah, it's very, very confusing and weird, but very difficult. But it's also deserving an A tier. Now, a world that did so well in the beginning. This is a repeat of Celestia. A world that did so good in the beginning, did horrible in the middle, but brought back in the end. Lemuria. I have very little complaints for this. Only because the beginning was really good, and you gotta get heroes to destroy this world synthesizer, right? Because if you don't, it basically, I think, destroys the world. I don't remember the story behind it. Holy fuck. You get all these heroes together, you fight your way through to stop this madman of the old one, because now you're working with Dazine, who is the cavity or the nothing, but he's helping you along the way in Lemuria, because he wanted to find Lemuria, but now he's trying to say we're heroes. And along the way, the heroes turn your backs on you to try to, well, control the world and then destroy all evil in this world. So they've gone insane. So now you gotta fight all 8 heroes at once. Before they also made it standard and challenge mode, they were also difficult because now you gotta do half turns, which means you can hit one side, destroy them, and then you gotta destroy the other half, which is annoying. Because here's another thing I want to mention. There was a strat back then where you had to flee and come back, fight the other 4, and then win. Oh my god. I don't think it does that anymore, but it's also easy as heck now because they're only like 3,000, 4,000 health instead of like 16,000. But that's, once again, that was before challenge mode was a thing. Anyways, I want to say Lemuria was also very, like, not really boring, but the middle part really did screw him over because it was boring. But Sky City and Heap bounced back. I mean, they bounced back with that. And the final battle felt really good. I want to say, even with the middle being kind of boring. Oh, one more thing to mention. When you had to collect all this stuff for, the other version of Zeke, I forgot what his name was. You had to complete a side quest to unlock that flower. So, with that being said, And I hate to do this because I was going to give this an S tier, but because of that, it's getting a high A tier. Now, I feel like it should deserve a low S. I'm sorry. I'll give it a low S. Now, a world that I can't say is good, but it's not bad. Novus. I'm sorry to say this. I was uninterested in this world. Sure, Design controls it. He's basically God. And these people are being so fucking greedy and everything, and they want power and everything. They want everything, just control. It's just stupid. This world, this story is stupid. And Manticore, the first hero ever, and he corrupts. Yeah, C tier. Walleru, that's it. Nothing to say. Walleru was in our example. It was a good world. You know what? B tier. I'll be nice. B tier. It wasn't a bad world. Just the only thing I hate about Walleru, the solo fights. The solo fights were tedious and stupid. They were completely unnecessary. Actually, you know what? Now that I thought about it, you can go with Novus. I'm not giving you that mercy. Just those two worlds combined together were kind of mid. And then they have a whole area you have to pay for, mind you, that you're only doing 3 quests in. Not even joking. 2 boss fights, and a defeat and collect. That's it. And then you move on to the Outback, which is mostly empty. A huge area, mostly empty. Oh, and Freddy Croker. Woohoo. Anyways, but the other thing they did add, and this was like the aftermath, was the Mollis dungeon. Hated it. I I played it for the first time actually last week. I hated it. I will never be doing that again. But yeah, wow, this tier list is actually interesting. We have, I'm gonna say, B and above are like passable worlds, and C and below should have been better. You know, honestly. Now, when I say C and below, I should say C is somewhat passable. Like, it's playable, but it should have been better in some specific parts. But D and below definitely need to be fixed for sure. But like I said, Winter Tusk is A tier. It's right there. Editor, you have it already as is. You said it from the beginning. Yada yada. Anyways, that was a fun little tier list I just did. Not a lot of S tiers, but you know what? That's okay because these worlds that I have up there are good memories. So without further ado, thank you all so much for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you all next time. Peace out.